Times Media Group is a media and entertainment company which relisted after restructuring of the former Avusa group. Its main assets are the Sunday Times, Uniprint and Hirt and Carter. The company has a market cap of 2.4 billion rand, has yet to establish a price to earnings ratio and currently pays no dividends. And of course, a lot of people are pinning their hat to Andrew Bonomore and his ability to turn this one around. I see they've just managed to get rid of one of their assets, and it's just slipped my mind.
It's
which
that
one?
Map-It
business,
which is a business that sells the sort of location maps to people like TomTom and so on for navigational
They
devices.
actually sold it to TomTom.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they did.
Look, it's a very interesting story because, as you say, Black Star, which is Andrew Bonomore's outfit, have kind of taken it by the scruff of its neck. There's a lot of movement there too. They're selling, if they can, the book division, which is exclusive books, Van Skyks and the likes. They're trying to offload New Metro and Gallo because that business is also creaking. The main assets, as you said, there are the Sunday Times and the associated newspapers, the Sowetan and a bunch of Business Day and others. The printing businesses are the ones that they bought with Hirt and Carter. So Uniprint, I think, is a Durban-based business. The Hirt and Carter is outdoor advertising, that kind of thing. Fairly strong cash flows, but I am worried that the print business is challenged, so that the advertising support for the Business Day and the Sunday Times, in a year or 2 or 3's time won't be what it is now.
Let's get your comments here, Chris, in terms of perhaps the how vulnerable the print industry in the country is at the moment, or whether you think there is no alarm there.
No, I think it's hugely vulnerable. I remember a previous CEO, Prakash Desai, kicking off presentations talking about the fact that the future for all of these companies was in the electronic media. And then you went through the presentation and you came out saying, well, but there isn't any electronic media in this company. And there's still precious little today. I understand where he was coming from, and I think that's something they want to try and work towards. But this print media they got, I think, will be diluted in time when we get decent broadband at a decent price in this country, and people can actually download a lot of that content. They're working towards it in Business Day and in the Financial Mail to a certain extent, but I think unfortunately they're way behind the curve. They're doing the right things, but a bit on a kind of Johnny-come-lately basis. So I think that print side is a very vulnerable aspect of this business.
Can you invest in a company, as Chris says, Johnny-come-lately?
Well, look, they also had massive capital restructuring. So a couple of years ago, when it became Times Media again, not a couple of years, last year, they paid out, they offered people an exit in cash, and those that elected to stay were the ones in this vehicle. So it's also got about R1 billion worth of debt. Seems to be paying that down quite quickly. So you've got a business with lots of debt, lots of restructuring, fresh management team, certain things being thrown overboard. Earnings, who knows? But what I will tell you is that the share price has done quite well recently. I suspect because 1 or 2 strategic shareholders have been acquiring any little bit of scrap of stock they can. The one is Caxton. They've accumulated about a 15% stake because Terry Millman wants to have a seat on the board when it comes to deciding whether Sunday Times gets printed. Coronation is in there, and Coronation's got pots of money. And then the third party are the Black Star guys, who obviously want this thing to be seen to be a success.
And of course, we have to mention the recent Twitter furore between Iqbal's survey and the spat. Well, I suppose Andrew Bonomore didn't take to Twitter, but certainly you saw the spat unfolding between these 2 big media heavyweights. Any comment?
I didn't actually see that.
This is a bit of trivia. You missed this.
Yeah, I missed that. Sorry.
Well, in fact, Andrew did take to Twitter.
Did he take to Twitter?
Only to criticize his colleagues who were still calling the group Avusa, which I found quite amusing. But yes, I mean, Iqbal's survey and the independent group, who knows what those guys are going to get up to.
You must have found it interesting. Did you
watch?
Watch the spat?
Nothing better than a Twitter fight.
Anyway, so where do we go? Hot or not on Times Media Group?
No, I don't think it's hot. I'm sorry to say. I think there's some real pain still to come. And my question really is, when are the shareholders going to wake up to that pain and the share price reflect that difficulty? So I would certainly not be buying now.
Somebody believes the story right now. Hot or not, Chris?
This is a complete punt as far as I'm concerned. I think print media is going to take major pain, but I think Mr. Bonomore is doing all the right things, and I think the market is probably going to follow him from that perspective. So while I'm not...
Well, it looks as though the market is following him. This is all Andrew Bonomore.
While I'm not necessarily convinced by the story, I think from a pure trading perspective, this one could be quite hot.